Money flows to me effortlessly and consistently because I nurture a positive mindset. I often find myself aligned with lucrative opportunities, even in moments of relaxation. Abundance feels inherent to me, making my bank account grow easily while attracting generous compensation for simply being myself. The universe keeps surprising me with financial blessings, confirming that luxury is my birthright.
Why am I such a natural match for continuous financial flow? Why does wealth show up for me without effort or stress? Why do I constantly discover new ways to receive abundance? Why does my energy effortlessly draw in prosperity? Why is it so easy for me to live in financial overflow? Why do I always seem to receive exactly what I desire and more? Why do high-paying opportunities always find me first? Why am I treated like a magnet for divine compensation? Why do I make more money by simply being in alignment? Why does money arrive before I even think to ask for it? Why is the universe so generous with me in every way? Why do financial blessings come to me in unexpected, beautiful ways? Why do I manifest cash flow from directions I never imagined? Why is money always looking for new ways to enter my life? Why do I feel so safe and supported by the abundance all around me? Why does every dollar I receive multiply effortlessly? Why do I wake up to more and more wealth every day? Why does my presence alone call in prosperity? Why is luxury such a natural part of who I am? Why do I attract rich experiences and generous people? Why is my lifestyle funded by ease, not hustle? Why does financial security follow me everywhere I go? Why do I embody wealth in everything I do? Why am I so adored by money and opportunity alike? Why does money stick to me like it never wants to leave? Why does the world love rewarding me for my energy? Why is money always arriving faster than I expect? Why do I always receive more than I spend? Why does abundance chase me like I'm its greatest obsession? Why is my energy coded for limitless financial success? Why do I live in constant alignment with the frequency of wealth? Why do I feel so confident receiving high levels of money with ease? Why is wealth such a normal part of my everyday life? Why does my life keep getting more abundant without effort? Why does it feel so natural to have more than enough of everything? Why do I manifest money even when I'm resting, playing, or dreaming? Why do clients, customers, and opportunities appear out of nowhere? Why is being financially free just part of who I am now? Why do doors open for me every time I even think about abundance? Why is my income always increasing with zero resistance? Why do people feel excited to give me money? Why does my value seem so obvious to the world around me? Why am I so magnetic to passive income and effortless earnings? Why do I experience overflow in every area of my life? Why is being wealthy so fun, freeing, and feminine? Why do I feel more powerful every time I receive? Why am I constantly expanding into higher levels of financial success? Why do I deserve and receive the softest, richest life?
Why does every version of me get richer and more magnetic? Why does wealth always find a way to flow to me daily? Why do I receive without needing to justify, explain, or prove? Why does my bank balance reflect my elevated self-worth? Why do I radiate the kind of energy that money loves to be around? Why do I experience miracles the moment I relax into trust? Why is the act of receiving so effortless for me now? Why do aligned income streams find me while I'm focused on joy? Why does money adore how calm and confident I am? Why am I always rewarded for simply being me? Why do I have so much more than enough, all the time? Why does wealth feel like home to me? Why does my feminine energy magnetize high levels of prosperity? Why am I so gifted at allowing abundance into my world? Why does every investment I make come back multiplied? Why is my financial expansion inevitable and unstoppable? Why does money arrive exactly when I want it? or sooner? Why do the right people show up ready to pay, hire, gift, or elevate me? Why does it feel so normal for life to provide everything with ease? Why is money always flowing from expected and unexpected directions? Why does it feel so exciting to live in overflow and luxury? Why do I make more by doing less and being more? Why is my inner world so supportive of outer wealth? Why do I always get paid to follow what lights me up? Why is my energy a portal for financial blessings? Why do I deserve to live a life of total financial ease? Why is it so easy to trust that more is always on its way? Why is the universe constantly looking for ways to surprise me with wealth? Why does money love my relaxed, grounded confidence? Why is my income a reflection of my elevated self-concept? Why do the best opportunities land directly in my lap? Why is financial magic part of my daily experience? Why am I so supported in creating a life of luxury and peace? Why do I receive money as naturally as I breathe? Why does my creativity bring in consistent income? Why do I live in the vibration of wealth and gratitude all day? Why am I always aligned with divine compensation? Why do I experience financial elevation in every season of life? Why do I attract luxury like it's coded into my DNA? Why is it so easy for me to live richly without needing to hustle? Why do blessings land on me like I'm the universe's favorite? Why does my money mindset grow stronger and more aligned daily? Why do I get wealthier the more I honor my boundaries and energy? Why do high-level experiences come to me without effort? Why am I such a natural at receiving, enjoying, and keeping money? Why do I make it look so easy to manifest whatever I want? Why do I always feel so financially supported by the universe? Why does everything I touch seem to multiply in value? Why do I receive upgrades without even asking? Why do I keep unlocking new levels of wealth so easily? Why is it so natural for me to receive money while I sleep? Why does my energetic presence invite prosperity without effort? Why is wealth constantly orbiting around me, waiting for my signal? Why do I receive generous amounts without lifting a finger? Why am I such a powerful match to financial expansion? Why does ease feel so safe, so natural, so abundant? Why does money celebrate me every time I open to receive? Why am I always experiencing financial elevation with grace? Why does the universe prioritize my desires without delay? Why do new streams of income appear exactly when I'm ready? Why is financial growth a permanent part of my story? Why am I always being paid to enjoy my life? Why do I radiate pure wealth consciousness in everything I do? Why do I attract golden opportunities that align with my lifestyle? Why am I so trusted by the energy of abundance? Why do I always know there's more where that came from? Why is wealth so loyal to me? Why do I naturally embody the frequency of limitless receiving? Why does financial freedom feel like my baseline? Why is my life a reflection of divine wealth and effortless luxury? Why does my energy pull in the highest paying experiences? Why am I so in tune with the rhythm of abundance? Why does money chase me the moment I decide I'm available for it? Why does my alignment create instant magnetism for wealth? Why do I feel more secure and supported every single day? Why am I always in overflow no matter what the numbers say? Why does financial success feel so light and joyful now? Why do I attract consistent upgrades in income, lifestyle, and ease? Why do I receive more the moment I relax and trust? Why does my inner peace amplify my external wealth? Why do I make luxury look so easy and effortless? Why does my feminine power call in high-level resources? Why do I receive with no guilt, no fear, no doubt? Only grace? Why is money always magnetized to my high standards? Why do I embody the kind of wealth that can't be faked or forced? Why do I feel so at home in riches, beauty, and comfort? Why does every version of me get wealthier without trying harder? Why do my finances expand the more I align with my desires? Why am I always taken care of before I even ask? Why do I feel so safe to dream, expand, and receive fully? Why does my soft energy command high compensation? Why do I receive constant confirmation that I'm abundant by nature?